So in this video, I wanted to go over the theory that the people here are just fucking jealous and hateful of us, which is why they go after us. And I think that, like the other theory that I came up with yesterday, this is a very simple, grounded theory that we should take seriously. So a lot of people probably wouldn't really think that that was the case simply because they can't understand why these people would be jealous of them. But people can be jealous of almost anything, and like it can be as simple as you just being happy. People, if you deal with people long enough, you know that they're pretty petty and they have issues, and a lot of times other people have to suffer because of their own fucking issues. And it's always kind of been that way if you think about it. Like when I was younger, I dealt with all sorts of fucking hate. You know, people get jealous over fucking anything. You know, I go out and buy a new car, they're jealous. I mean, if I get a girl they like, they're jealous. If I can do anything that they can't do, they're jealous. So I'm saying that whatever it is that they're jealous of might be motivating them to, you know, act out and to come after us. So, you know, I'm going to try to say this as delicately as I can, because I know that the gang stalkers, you know, they're real sensitive and I don't want to hurt their feelings. So, I mean, they are, you know, the gang stalkers, they're real sensitive people. They're very fragile. So I don't want to, you know, make them feel bad or anything. So I'm going to say this as delicately as I can. The gang stalkers seem like they may not have a lot going for them, and the operation could simply be them lashing out. And I think that we should take this theory seriously because it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like, you know, the gang stalkers went through life with nothing going. They had nothing going for them. Like, they had all these shortcomings. Like, you know. And I don't want to, you know, I think you guys could just look at them and kind of tell. You could kind of see what I'm talking about. Just look at them. Just, you know, take a close look at them, and you'll understand where I'm going with this, okay? And I mean, you know, just look at them, look at what they do, and, you know, study them a little bit. You kind of understand why they might have some, you know, some issues, okay? And that's all I'm going to say. But look, the theory is that their issues are becoming our issues. And I think this is a very good theory. Like, their issues are becoming our issues. Like, if they have issues with themselves, then they're going to make it our problem, basically. So, you know, or lash out or do stuff, you know, mean stuff to us. And the reason why I say that is because it's the same concept as bullying. When someone is bullying you, a lot of times it has to do with the fact that they have their own issues and they're sort of lashing out and they're just using you to feel better about themselves. So gang stalkers are probably like that. They're people with a lot of issues who can't handle their issues because they're not strong enough. So they lash out and, you know, they bully people. And like I said, I'm not like a psychologist or anything, but I mean, that seems to make a lot of sense. You know, bullies are people who are just miserable and they don't have anything going for them, and, you know, like they're not, you know, there's nothing going for them. Like they go through life just, you know, hating themselves and hating everything, and, you know, all that hate builds up and it manifests into something toxic, and then they just find some nerdy kid and they just like lash out at them in order to feel better. So gang stalkers, I've dealt with gang stalkers. I got to tell you that if these people weren't gang stalking, people would probably pity them. I mean, people would feel sorry for them, and that might actually be why everybody is kind of turning a blind eye. You know, they might see us and think, well, we got all this going for us, and we, you know, these gang stalkers have nothing going for them, like nothing. So why are, you know, it just makes sense for them to feel more pity towards the gang stalkers than they do us. You know, they're like, look at the gang stalker, look at him. Let me just look at him. Okay, look at him, look at him. He's, you know, you know, he was born him. And it's just, that's awful. And, you know, people could just really look at the gang stalkers and think that, you know, their life had to have been just so terrible because they're them and they have to live life as themselves, and we're us and they're them, and that's just, I don't know, maybe that's why they just kind of feel bad for more bad for the gang stalkers than they do us. Like when we go through stuff, they just, something about us makes them feel like us going through stuff is not a big deal, but the gang stalkers were born handicapped or something. Like they were born, It's like how it is with a disabled person. You notice how a disabled person can get away with stuff that a normal person couldn't? And everybody is kind of understanding no matter what he does. I feel like the gang stalkers is kind of like, they're like disabled people, like they're handicapped or something. You're not really allowed to be nasty to a handicapped person no matter how bad his behavior is. And the gang stalkers are probably seen as handicapped people who, you know, we're just not allowed to be ugly to them because of their handicap, man. Like everybody's automatically feels sorry for the gang stalkers no matter what they do, the same way you would feel sorry for a handicapped person no matter what he does because he's handicapped. So like the gang stalkers are probably just, you know, their situation is probably so critical that they can just do whatever they want, and everybody kind of just expects us to just be okay with it because they're them. And like I said, I don't know if this is what's going on, but it could explain why everybody just expects you to turn the blinds eye to their behavior. You know, it's kind of how somebody is when they're autistic or something and they start, you know, going crazy, and, you know, everybody's just very patient with them and try to calm them down, and they're breaking shit. And they're like, look, they're autistic. I mean, you know, you have to just understand and feel bad for them. You know, so it could be that situation. You know, I looked at these gang stalkers and I kind of felt like if they weren't attacking me, I would probably pity them. So, I mean, you know, and we don't pity them because they're attacking us, but if they weren't attacking us, maybe we just feel sorry for them. And people just were like, well, they were born themselves and that sucks. And you were born you and they were born them. And, you know, you should just be so thankful that you are you and not them. And, you know, it kind of just have that attitude. Like that attitude might explain the situation so they can kind of just do shit and everybody feels bad for them. And I think that people pitying people who are born deficient, is that politically correct? Deficient? I don't know if this word is politically correct or not. This deficient thing. Well, anyhow, well, you know, if I offend anybody, sorry about that. Like, I'm not trying to make fun of them. So look, but like in a situation like that, people generally just feel like you should just accept it because you're you and they're them. And you know, that's it. Like, it's kind of how rich people are expected to, you know, put up with more because they're rich. You know, like they, you know, you're allowed to be mean to them or something because they're rich. And, you know, nobody is going to feel sympathy for a rich man. Nobody feels sympathy for the rich man. So maybe, and I'm just saying, maybe we have stuff going for us that maybe we're not fully aware of, but everyone else sees it. And to everyone else, it just makes a lot of sense for the gang stalkers to be able to get away with whatever they're doing because, you know, they're basically handicapped as far as what, you know, I don't know, as far as these people are concerned, these gang stalkers are handicapped. Are not handicapped like by the definition that we assign to that. But, you know, they have so many shortcomings that people just pity them. Like, they have so many shortcomings. And that's what everyone sees when they see the gang stalker. They're like this person who was just born with every type of failing you can think of. They were born into a bad situation. They have nothing going for them. And, you know, just nothing. Like, they have nothing. And then they turn around and look at you, and then maybe with you, they just see all this, you have stuff going for you, man. Like, you know, maybe, I don't know you guys, but it's possible that you have stuff going for you. Maybe you're not fully aware of it. Everyone else sees it. And the gang stalkers have nothing. These gang stalkers, they have nothing. I mean, they were just, you know, they're like on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, they don't have anything going for them. You know, they're all miserable. The wife isn't satisfied with them. You know, the wife is looking at them like, damn, you know, like that. She is. She's just like, damn. You know, she just feel like she doesn't even know why she's still in a relationship, really. She doesn't know why. She has to be because of societal pressure. Like, society just pressures her to stay in it, and she's all frustrated. You know, it's just their life is very frustrating. Like, they go through life frustrated and just, you know, they weren't born with a whole lot to work with. Okay, like, they were born at a disadvantage of some sort. Like, they were born disadvantaged. Like, I think maybe society sees us as being born advantaged and them born disadvantaged. Like, handicapped people are born disadvantaged, so we pity them. You know, a handicapped person can't do stuff that we can do, and we feel bad, and we kind of show them a lot of leniency. You know, we're like, okay, that handicapped person's trashing everything, but, you know, we get it, we understand, and there's a certain empathy that comes with you being born handicapped. So maybe these people are just by society's standards, these people are handicapped. They have nothing going for them, no virtues, just nothing. And you know, people see that, and it's just like, you have everything going for you, so why aren't you just willing to take shit, really? You know, like, I don't know you guys. I mean, you guys can have every fucking thing going for you. You wouldn't even know it because, you know, the people are just fucking with you all the time. But one thing I learned is that people have sympathy for the handicapped, but they don't have sympathy for the people who have everything. And, you know, like I said, we're not rich by any means, but don't get it messed up. Just because a person is rich doesn't mean they feel good about themselves. Like, most of the people who get rich because they don't feel good about themselves and they want to feel good about themselves, and they feel like money will make them feel better, which is what motivates them to do whatever it takes to get rich in the first place. Like, that motivation is there. If you have nothing going for you except for making money, then you dedicate your life to making money. Like, you know, the average person, they might just be happy with themselves and not feel the need to go the extra mile to make money because they don't need it. Like, if you have other things going for you, start realizing the money really isn't all that important. Think about Handler, like a guy like Handler. You notice how Handler always asserts money into the situation because Handler doesn't have anything going for him. That's why the only thing he even brings up is money. Money is what defines him. That's all he has. He has nothing else. Like, I don't know Handler, but I could just imagine him, what he looks like in my head. I mean, I could just see him, you know, I don't know, you know, Handler just like one of those type of guys, man. Like, this guy, you know, he wants everything to be about the money. He wants, like, these type of people want everything to be about the money because they don't have anything else to fall back on. Like, they don't, you know, like, that's all they got. That's it. You know, take the money away and they have nothing else. So, you know, they make it about the money. And once they feel better about themselves because they feel like financially they got where they wanted to go, then they start sort of going after the people. You know, their head gets big because suddenly they went from feeling worthless to powerful. And then it's kind of like all the people they were jealous of, maybe they feel like they could solidly be on top, be on their position, you know, be on their level. You know, like Handler is like, oh, I made all this money, so now I can finally go after the people who I was jealous of when I was broke. You know, I was broke, I was just jealous of these people because I always felt like they had so much going for them and I had nothing. And now that I finally gotten where I want to go to, you know, I can kind of feel like I'm better than them now. And it could be a psychological thing. You know, psychology could explain their behavior. You know, they develop little cults and, you know, stuff like that, like the pyramid heads. Okay. You know, they develop little cults and stuff, and they start, you know, talking about how, you know, money is I don't know, spiritual, or who knows what these crazy ass cults are into. But the point is that that also could explain their behavior. So basically what I'm saying is that these people are just jealous, man. Like, there's something about you, or there's something about me that they're just super fucking jealous of. Like, they're just jealous, man. I used to say, if you don't fall within the three categories of American hate, which is religion, sex, sexual orientation, or race, then it's probably just jealousy, okay? Because if it's not one of those three, then it's probably just jealousy. If people are out to get you or they're hating on you, it'll either be those three categories of jealousy, because there's nothing outside of those four categories. Like, most likely, like 90% of the time, it'll be within those four categories. So the categories that you have to look out for when it comes to American hate and oppression: sexual orientation. Your sexual orientation is different from the mainstream. Like 50 years ago, you could get killed for being homosexual. Okay, so we're not killing people for homosexuality anymore. But we used to kill people for homosexuality. And you know, and probably 30 years ago, you would get killed, maybe not for homosexuality, but for like being a trans, you'd get killed. So, you know, it could be today, you know, your sexual orientation is not like everyone else's. So that automatically equals some sort of oppression. Or it could be political affiliation, which is kind of big. It could be political affiliation, but that's not the type of thing that will get you oppressed, really. Or it could be, you know, race, of course. I don't even have to go into the race one. You guys have a full understanding of how race plays roles in the hate and all that stuff. I don't have to even explain that one. Or it could be just jealousy, and, you know, these are the categories. So if it's not one of those four categories, what else could it possibly be? And with that said, let me go ahead and close out now.